Where are Edgar, Herman, Bert, Tom, and Charlie? The weak of will, the strong of arm, the clown, the boozer, the fighter.
All are sleeping on the hill.
One passed in a fever, one was burned in a mine, one was killed in a brawl, one died in a jail, and one fell from a bridge, toiling for children and wife.
All are sleeping on the hill.
Where are Ella, Kate, Mag, Lizzie, and Edith? The tender heart, the simple soul, the loud, proud, the happy one.
All are sleeping on the hill.
One died in a shameful childbirth, one of a thwarted love, one at the hands of a brute in a brothel, one of a broken pride in search for heart's desire, and one, after life in faraway London and Paris, was brought to her little space by Ella and Kate and Mag.
All are sleeping on the hill.
Where are Uncle Isaac and Aunt Emily, and old Townie Kincaid, and Savine Houghton, and Major Walker, who talked with venerable men of the Revolution?
All are sleeping on the hill.
They brought them dead sons from the war, daughters whom life had crushed, and children, fatherless, crying.
All are sleeping on the hill.
Where is old Fiddler Jones, who played with life all his 90 years, who faced the sleet with bared breast, drinking, rioting, thinking not of wife nor kin, nor gold, nor love, nor heaven? Lo, how he babbles of the fish fries of long ago, of the horse races of long ago at Clary's Grove, what Abe Lincoln said one time at Springfield.
Maurice, weep not. I am not here under this pine tree. The balmy air of spring whispers through the sweet grass. The stars sparkle. The whippoorwill calls. But thou grievest, while my soul lies rapturous in the blessed nirvana of eternal light. Go to the good heart that is my husband, who broods upon what he calls our guilty love. Tell him that my love for you, no less than my love for him, wrought out my destiny, that through the flesh I won spirit, and through spirit, peace. There is no marriage in heaven, but there is love.
I went up and down the streets, here and there, by day and night, through all hours of the night, caring for the poor who were sick. Do you know why? My wife hated me, and my son went to the dogs, and I turned to the people and poured out my love to them. Sweet it was to see the crowds about the lawn on the day of my funeral, and hear them murmur their love and sorrow. But, oh dear God, my soul trembles, scarcely able to hold to the railing of the new life. When I saw M. Stanton behind the oak tree at the grave, hiding herself and her grief.
The earth keeps some vibration going there in your heart. And that is you. And if the people find you can fiddle, why, fiddle you must for all your life. What do you see? A harvest of clover? Or a meadow to walk through to the river? The winds in the corn. You rub your hands together for beeves hereafter, ready for market. Or else you hear the rustle of skirts, like the girls dancing at Little Grove. To Cooney Potter, a pillar of dust and whirling leaves meant ruinous drought. They looked more to me like Redhead Sammy, stepping it off to Tour Lure. How could I till my 40 acres, not to speak of getting more, with a medley of horns, bassoons, and piccolos stirred up in my brain by crows and robins and the creak of a windmill? Only these. And I did not start to plough in my life, that someone did not stop in the road and take me away to a dance or to a picnic. I ended up with 40 acres. I ended up with a broken fiddle, and a broken laugh, and 1,000 memories, and not a single regret.
What wondrous love is this, oh my soul, oh my soul? What wondrous love is this, oh my soul? What wondrous love is this that caused the Lord of bliss to bear the dreadful curse for my soul, to bear the dreadful curse for my soul. When I was sinking down, sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down beneath God's righteous frown, Christ laid aside his crown for my soul, for my soul. Christ laid aside his crown for my soul. To God and to the Lamb I will sing, I will sing. To God and to the Lamb I will sing. To God and to the Lamb, who is the great I am, while millions join the theme, I will sing, I will sing. While millions join the theme, I will sing. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing on, I'll sing on. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing on. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing and joyful be. And through eternity, I'll sing shouting on.
I was not beloved of the villagers, and all because I spoke my mind and met those who transgressed against me with plain remonstrance, hiding nor nurturing, nor secret griefs nor grudges. That act of the Spartan boy is greatly praised, who hid a wolf under his cloak, letting it devour him uncomplainingly. It is braver, I think, to snatch the wolf forth openly, even in the street, amid dust and howls of pain. The tongue may be an unruly member, but silence poisons the soul. Berate me who will, I am content.
I was sick. But more than that, I was mad. At the crooked police and the crooked game of life. So, I wrote to the chief of police at Peoria. I am here in my girlhood home in Spoon River, gradually wasting away. But come and take me. I killed the son of the merchant prince in Madame Lou's. And the papers that said he killed himself in his home while cleaning a hunting gun lied like the devil to hush up scandal for the bribe of advertising. In my room, I shot him at Madame Lou's because he knocked me down when I said that in spite of all the money he had, I'd see my lover that night.
At first, I suspected something. She acted so calm and absent-minded. And one day, I heard the back door slam shut as I entered the front. And I saw him slink back of the smokehouse into the lot and run across the field. And I meant to kill him on sight. But that day, walking near Fourth Bridge, without a stick or a stone at hand, all of a sudden I saw him standing, scared to death, holding his rabbits. And all I could say was, don't, as he aimed and fired at my heart.
Silent before the jury, returning no word to the judge when he asked me if I ought to say against my sentence, only shaking my head. What could I say to people who thought that a woman of 35 was at fault when her lover of 19 killed her husband, even though she had said to him over and over, "Go away, Elmer, go away. I have maddened your brain with the gift of my body. You will do some terrible thing." And just as I feared, he killed my husband. with which I had nothing to do before God. Silent for 30 years in prison. And the iron gates of Joliet swung as the gray and silent trustees carried me out in a coffin.
What but the love of God could have softened and made forgiving the people of Spoon River toward me who wronged the bed of Thomas Merritt and murdered him beside? Oh, loving hearts that took me in again when I returned from 14 years in prison. Oh, helping hands that in the church received me and heard with tears my penitent confession. Who took the sacrament of bread and wine? Repent, ye living ones, and rest with Jesus.
The white men played all sorts of jokes on me. They took big fish off my hook and put little ones on while I was away getting the stringer and made me believe I hadn't seen the right the fish I had caught. When Bird Robin Circus came to town, they got the ringmaster to let a tame leopard into the ring and made me believe I was whipping a wild beast like Samson when I, for an offer of $50, dragged him out to his cage. One time, as I entered my blacksmith shop, I shook as I saw some horseshoes crawling across the floor as if alive. Walter Simmons had put a magnet under the barrel of water. Yet, every one of you white men, was fooled about fish and about leopards too. You didn't know any more than the horseshoes did what moved you about Spoon River.
She loved me. Oh, how she loved me. I never had a chance to escape from the day she first saw me. But then once we were married, I thought she might prove her mortality and let me out. Or she might divorce me. But few die. None resign. Then I ran away and was gone a year on a lark. But she never complained. She said all would be well, that I would return. And I did return. I told her that while taking a row in a boat, I'd been captured near Van Buren Street by pirates on Lake Michigan and kept in chains so I could not write her. She cried and kissed me, said it was cruel, outrageous, inhuman. I then concluded our marriage was a divine dispensation, one that could not be dissolved except by death. I was right.
He ran away and was gone for a year. When he came home, he told me the silly story of being kidnapped by pirates on Lake Michigan and kept in chains so he could not write me. I pretended to believe it, though I knew very well what he was doing, and that he met the milliner, Mrs. Williams, now and then, when she went to the city to buy goods, as she said. But a promise is a promise, and marriage is marriage. And out of respect for my own character, I refused to be drawn into a divorce by the scheme of a husband who had merely grown tired of his marital vow and duty.
I loathed you, Spoon River. I tried to rise above you. I was ashamed of you. I despised you as the place of my nativity. And there, in Rome, among the artists, speaking Italian, speaking French, I seemed to myself at times to be free of every trace of my origin. I seemed to be reaching the heights of art and to breathe the air that the masters breathed. But still, they'd pass my work and they would say, "What are you driving at, my friend?" Sometimes the face looks like Apollo's. At other times, it has a trace of Lincoln's. There was no culture, you know, in Spoon River. And so I burned with shame and held my peace. And what could I do, all weighted down and covered over with western soil, except aspire and pray for another birth in the world, with all of Spoon River rooted out of my soul.
Shall we gather at the river, where bright angel feet have trod, with its crystal tide forever flowing by the throne of God? Yes, we'll gather at the river, the beautiful river. Gather with the saints at the river, flowing by the throne of God. Soon we'll reach the shining river. Soon our pilgrimage will cease. Soon our happy hearts will quiver with the melody of peace. Yes, we'll gather at the river, the beautiful river. Gather with the saints at the river that flows by the throne of God. Yes, we'll gather at the river, the beautiful river. Gather with the saints at the river that flows by the throne of God.
I wrote him a letter asking him for old time's sake to discharge my sick boy from the army, but maybe he couldn't read it. Then I went to town and had James Garber, who wrote beautifully, write him a letter in his own hand, but maybe that was lost to the mails. So I went all the way to Washington. I was more than an hour reaching the White House. And when I found it, they turned me away, hiding their smiles. Then I thought, oh well, he ain't the same as when I boarded him, and he and my husband worked together, and all of us called him Abe there in Menard. As a last attempt, I turned to the guard and said, please tell him it's old Aunt Hannah Armstrong. Come to see him about her sick boy in the army. Well, just in a moment, they let me in. And when he saw me, he broke in a laugh and dropped his business as president and wrote in his own hand Doug's discharge, talking the while of the early days and telling stories.
At 4 o'clock, in late October, I sat alone in the country schoolhouse, back from the road mid stricken fields, and an eddy of wind blew leaves on the pane and crooned in the flue of the cannon stove, with its open door blurring the shadows with the spectral glow of a dying fire. In an idle mood, I was running the planchette. All at once my wrist grew limp, and my hand moved rapidly over the board till the name Charles Guiteau was spelled, who threatened to materialize before me. I rose and fled from the room, bareheaded into the dusk, afraid of my gift. And after that, the spirits swarmed. Chaucer, Caesar, Poe, and Marlowe, Cleopatra and Mrs. Surratt. Wherever I went with messages, mere trifling twaddle, Spoon River agreed. You talk nonsense to children, don't you? And suppose I see what you never saw, and never heard of, and have no word for. I must talk nonsense when you ask me what it is I see.
Have you seen, walking through the village, a man with downcast eyes and haggard face? That is my husband, who, by secret cruelty, never to be told, robbed me of my youth and my beauty, till at last wrinkled and with yellow teeth, and with broken pride and shameful humility, I sank into the grave. But what think you gnaws at my husband's heart? The face of what I was, the face of what he made me. These are driving him to the place where I lie, in death. Therefore, I am avenged.
She took my strength by minutes. She took my life by hours. She drained me like a fevered moon that saps the spinning world. The days went by like shadows. The minutes wheeled like stars. She took the pity from my heart and made it into smiles. She was a hunk of sculptor's clay. My pensive thoughts were fingers. They flew behind her pensive brow and lined it deep with pain. They set the lips. They sagged the cheeks. They drooped the eyes with sorrow. My soul had entered into the clay, fighting like 7 devils. It was not mine. It was not hers. She held it, but its struggles modeled a face she hated. And a face I feared to see. I beat the windows. I shook the bolts. I hid me in a corner. And then she died and haunted me and hunted me for life.
Almost the shell of a woman after the surgeon's knife, and almost a year to creep back into strength, till the dawn of our wedding decennial found me my seeming self again. We walked the forest together by a path of soundless moss and turf. But I could not look in your eyes, and you could not look in my eyes. For such sorrow was ours, the beginning of gray in your hair, and I, but a shell of myself. And what did we talk of? Sky and water, anything most to hide our thoughts. And then your gift of wild roses set on the table to grace our dinner. Poor heart. How bravely you struggled to imagine and live a remembered rapture. Then my spirit drooped as the night came on, and you left me alone in my room for a while, as you did when I was a bride. Poor heart. And I looked in the mirror, and something said, one should be all dead when one is half dead, nor ever mock life, nor ever cheat love. And I did it, looking there in the mirror. Dear, have you ever understood?
Rhodes, slave. Selling shoes and gingham, flour and bacon, overalls, clothing. All day long, for 14 hours a day, for 313 days a year, for more than 20 years. Saying yes'm, and yes sir, and thank you, 1,000 times a day. And all for just $50 a month. Living in the stinking room in the rattle-trap commercial. And compelled to go to Sunday school and listen to the Reverend Abner Pete 104 times a year for more than an hour at a time because Thomas Rhodes ran the church as well as the store and the bank. So while I was tying my necktie that morning, I suddenly saw myself in the glass. My hair, all gray. My face like a sodden pie. So I cursed and cursed. You damned old thing. You cowardly dog. You rotten pauper. You Rhodes slave. Till Roger Bauman thought I was having a fight with someone and looked through the transom just in time to see me fall on the floor in a heap from a broken vein in my head.
Dear Emily Sparks, your prayers were not wasted. Your love was not all in vain. I owe whatever I was in life to your hope that would not give me up, to your love that saw me still as good. Dear Emily Sparks, let me tell you the story. I passed the effect of my father and mother. The milliner's daughter made me trouble. And out I went into the world, where I passed through every peril known of women, and wine, and the joy of life. One night, I was in a room in the Rue de Rivoli. I was drinking wine with a black-eyed cocotte, when suddenly tears swam into my eyes. Black-eyed cocotte smiled. Thought they were amorous tears, for thought of her conquest over me. But my mind was 3,000 miles away. In the days when you taught me in Spoon River. And just because you no more could love me, nor pray for me, nor write me letters, the eternal silence of you spoke instead. The black-eyed cocotte took the tears for hers, as well as the deceiving kisses I gave her. Somehow, from that hour on, I had a new vision. Dear Emily Sparks,
Where is my boy? My boy? In what far part of the world? The boy I loved best of all in school. I, the teacher, the old maid, the virgin heart, who made them all my children. Did I know my boy aright, thinking of him as spirit aflame, active, ever aspiring? O boy, for whom I prayed and prayed in many a watchful hour at night. Do you remember the letter I wrote you of the beautiful love of Christ? And whether you ever took it or not, my boy, wherever you are, work for your own soul's sake, that all the clay of you, all the dross of you, may yield to the fire of you, till the fire is nothing but light. Nothing but light.
I leaned against the mantel, sick, thinking of my failure, looking into the abysm, weak from the noonday heat. A church bell sounded mournfully far away. I heard the cry of a baby and the coughing of John Yarnell, bedridden, feverish, dying. Then the violent voice of my wife. Watch out, the potatoes are burning. I smelled them. Then there was this irresistible disgust. I pulled the trigger. Blackness, light, unspeakable regret. Fumbling for the world again. Too late. Thus I came here. With lungs for breathing, one cannot breathe here with lungs, though one must breathe. Of what use is it to rid oneself of the world, when no soul may ever escape the eternal destiny of life?
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
At first, you will not know what they mean, and you may never know, and we may never tell you. These sudden flashes in the soul, like lambent lightning on snowy clouds at midnight when the moon is full. They come in solitude, or perhaps you sit with a friend, and all at once a silence falls upon your speech. You two have seen the secret together. He sees it in you, and you in him. And there you sit, thrilling lest the mystery stand before you and strike you dead with a splendor like the sun's. Be brave, all souls who have such visions, for your body's alive as mine is dead. you're catching a little whiff of the ether reserved for God himself.
I was Willie Metcalf. They used to call me Dr. Myers because they said I looked like him. And he was my father, according to Jack McGuire. I lived in the livery stable, sleeping on the floor side by side with Roger Bauman's bulldog, or sometimes in a stall. I could crawl between the legs of the wildest horses without getting kicked. We knew each other. On spring days, I tramped through the country to get the feeling, which I sometimes lost, that I am not a separate thing from the earth. I used to lose myself as if in sleep by lying with eyes half open in the woods. Sometimes I talked with the animals, even toads and snakes. Anything that had an eye to look into. Once, I saw a stone in the sunshine, trying to turn into jelly. On April days in this cemetery, the dead people gathered around me like a congregation in silent prayer. I never knew if I was a separate thing from the earth, with flowers growing in me, or if I walked. Now I know.
There's something about death, like love itself. If with someone with whom you have known passion and the glow of youthful love, you also, after years of life, together feel the sinking of the fire, and thus fade away together, gradually, faintly, delicately, as it were in each other's arms, passing from the familiar room. That is the power of unison between souls, like love itself.
I went to the dances at Chandlerville and played Snap Out at Winchester. One time we changed partners, driving home in the moonlight of middle June. And then I found Davis. We were married and lived together for 70 years, enjoying, working, raising the 12 children, 8 of whom we lost ere I had reached the age of 60. I spun, I wove, I kept the house, I nursed the sick, I made the garden, and for holiday rambled over the fields where sang the larks, and by Spoon River, gathering many a shell, and many a flower and medicinal weed, shouting to the wooded hills, singing to the green valleys. At 96, I had lived enough, that is all, and passed to a sweet repose. What is this I hear of sorrow and weariness, anger, discontent, and drooping hopes? Degenerate sons and daughters, life is too strong for you. It takes life to love life.